for doing this with us today. Starting more broadly, how do you feel about how this offseason has gone so far, and I guess what you've been able to accomplish so far after the earlier pursuit of Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, great. We are in a we've had a strong stretch for the organization where we've continued to improve upon the group that is in place, which we feel very good about. Feel very good about the team that is in place, and as we look to improve upon it, see opportunities for us moving forward.
And Ross, now that you're into like more the meat of the offseason, curious about where you view the direction of this going. Like last offseason, I think it's fair to say you moved more towards defense, added a lot of pitching. Whether it's the offense or any sort of similar pivot, where do you see the rest of this offseason going in terms of a theme, a style of play that might be changing? Like, what's the direction there?
Really just focused on getting better, Keeks. We're again, strong team that we're committed to improving upon. Feel really good about the progress that's happened throughout development. Seeing a lot of good gains this offseason, seeing a lot of really positive things that have happened throughout the 40-man roster and in our system, and excited about opportunities ahead.
All right, thank you, Ross.
Go ahead, Rosie.
Hi, Ross. Nice to see you again. Can you tell us at this point now, maybe just confirm or clarify, did you ever actually meet face to face with Ohtani, and was he ever in Dunedin? Because I don't think that was ever clear. Or you guys ever made it clear one way or the other?
Yes, we did meet with him. He was in Dunedin. Today is about the players we've acquired and the team, and would like to focus on them, but can clarify that question for you.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but if I can ask one more question about the Shotani situation. Do you feel that you were manipulated by perhaps his agent into just helping strike a better deal for him elsewhere?
No, absolutely not. I feel strongly otherwise, and again, we feel really good about the process. It was an incredible effort from ownership to business to baseball, people coming together. Not the outcome we wanted, but feel really good about the process and absolutely felt like it was authentic and real.
Thanks, Russ.
Go ahead, John.
Happy New Year, Ross. I guess my first question is, you undoubtedly saw the sort of passion from Blue Jays fans who are excited at the prospect of Ohtani signing with the Blue Jays. A lot were frustrated and disappointed that he ended up with the Dodgers. What would you say to Blue Jays fans who, were really hopeful to see Ohtani play for the Jays?
Yeah, that disappointment is shared. We were obviously disappointed with the outcome, and it was a very difficult phone call to receive. One of the more difficult ones in my career. At the same time, incredible process and just group effort and collaboration that feels so good about not only that process, but what it meant to be in that position for this organization, for the city, for the country. There's no doubt in my mind he was exceptionally attracted to this country, this city, this team, felt incredible about the process, but we moved on.
And going forward in the offseason, are you pursuing more free agents? And I'm sure you can't name names, but what sort of free agent are you pursuing?
Yeah, we feel really good about this team because of the reasons I've mentioned, the core that is in place, the progress that has happened fundamentally, physically, and mentally throughout the 40-man roster, the teams that will be in AA and triple, or the players that will be in AA and AAA for us. And then some of the process and staffing changes we've made from a structure and communication and just getting the best possible information to our hitters, more specifically on the offensive side. Because of those reasons, feel like we have a really good foundation in place, and we'll work to improve upon it over the course of the offseason. Specifically as to what the shape of that is, certainly not going to name names, but because we have a lot of versatility on our roster, between players that can play multiple positions, we have several ways that we can improve upon our roster. It would most likely be in the outfield or DH category, but we're not limited to that.
Go ahead, Rob.
Good morning, Ross. When you
Rob?
talk about that core that you're enthused about, where do you see the biggest opportunities for sort of internal improvement, whether it be specific players or in the broader picture?
I think it's really just how we're helping them and how we're supporting them, and that starts with me. And how we can put them in the best possible position. We have a team that performed relatively well last year with a disappointing ending. That has had good in-season success for 4 years to now, has been broadly together for 4 years now. Coming into another group, another team, another year where we feel better about the group because of their experience, their experiences, and the work that they've put in. So the development system being in a position to support them, the players, like the entire AAA infield, the entire AAA, almost entire AAA pitching staff being in a position to support them. Good outfielders there that could support the group. Some of those may be starting on our team on the major league roster, but a really good group behind our 26-man roster to support us over the course of the year. And, again, back to your original question, it's really just putting, our staff in a position to best support the players that are here to get us back to that run scoring that we had in 22 and 21 and 20. Feel like last year was just a blip in terms of run scoring.
So you're of the opinion then that last year was an outlier, that some guys underachieved.
Well, it was
wrong word, but
it was an outlier over the past of the last 4 years, and we're optimistic now. Having said that, we're not going to rest on that. Now we're focused on improving our process as the league is adjusted to us. We need to adjust back. Of course, we were working to do so last year, and just continued that work over the course of this offseason, and really excited about the progress that Donnie, as a bench coach, offensive coordinator, has made to build out a better process with John Schneider. The addition, we've added Matt Haig to our staff, which I don't think everyone is aware of yet, who was in AAA and has had incredible success with a lot of our major league and player development hitters. So feeling really good about the staffing structure and the process to best support them.
Good. Thanks, Ross.
All right, Rob.
Go ahead, Shai.
Morning, Ross. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Just because you just mentioned it, what will Matt Haig's specific title and role be?
Assistant hitting coach.
Okay. In terms of additions, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa comes in and he can fill a number of roles. Do you see him in sort of a Whit Merrifield type of role? Is he more of a Matt Chapman replacement? How does he fit the puzzle?
Yeah, it'll depend on the rest of our offseason, really. He could, there could be a pathway for him to get a lot of third base at bats the way we're currently constructed. That could change. The things that were exceptionally attractive about Isaiah were, one, the defensive ability, the contact rates, the very plus base runner, but all of those things being versatile and complementary to us. He also was, it was clear to us that he wanted to come to the Toronto Blue Jays and he wanted to be on a winning team. He was, I know we weren't the only positive destination for him. But he had a lot of opportunities to go and play everyday shortstop or more than one opportunity to go play on an everyday basis. And what was important to him was to win. He said, I want to be in a winning environment, and that was exceptionally attractive to us.
And in terms of the ingredients, you mentioned outfield DH as categories most likely, but in terms of a specific ingredient or skill set, from an offensive perspective, what would you still want to add to this lineup? What do you feel was missing a bit from last year?
The things I think we're missing aren't people. I think the things that we're missing were our ability to support and help the players, which we feel like we've worked to offset and put ourselves in a much better position. So, obviously that we've been a little bit right-handed. So could it lean a little left-handed as we look for fits? It certainly could. It doesn't have to be outfield DH because of the versatility. Certainly we could be open to a trade. We are not actively looking to trade away from our major league team. So there's a lot of different ways that we could continue to complement or add to the team in an impactful way.
Are you saying that from a power perspective, you have sufficient power on the roster right now to be a productive offense?
Yeah, I think we have plenty of power to drive in runs. It doesn't mean we're not open to adding another power bat, but if you just name off 4 or 5 guys at the top of our lineup, and they all drive in runs, they all hit home runs, and we have plenty of power. We project to score runs again, and feel optimistic we will.
Thanks, Ross.
Go ahead, Ben.
Thanks, Adam. Hey, Ross.
Hey, Ben.
So specifically on IKF and his defense, he's a guy who's kind of played everywhere. Where do you guys view him to be the best fit defensively as he's currently, as things stand now?
The way we're currently constructed, the pathway would be at third, but the versatility, his openness to that, his willingness to do so is very attractive.
And then for, like, if you guys had to put him in center field, for example, I know he's caught before, like, is capture off the table? How do you see those positions?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's off the table because we don't need it. So we also have Dalton Varsho, who's done that before. So the center field ability is definitely attractive, and being right-handed with Dalton and KK being the other center fielders on our team, that level of defense and having complementary skill sets is part of the attraction.
Makes sense. And then going into the offseason at the GM meetings, you said probably 1 to 4 position players or bats for this roster. Now you guys have added 2 in Kiermaier and IKF. So is that still kind of 1 to 2, or is there a different answer as to how many more position players you might add?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's accurate, but I also would say that we feel very good about the team that is in place and are really excited about the opportunities for players within our system, but we are open to additions and are working tirelessly, have been, and will continue to work tirelessly on external additions.
Cool. Thanks.
Back to Keegan.
Hey, Ross, with the outfield specifically, when you say that could be an opportunity, outfield and DH, given that you have Varsho, Kiermaier, Springer, what would an outfield addition look like? Where would that come? What else would you be looking to add to that group?
So what else in addition to outfield DH?
In the outfield specifically, since you do have your 3 outfielders returning,
Yeah.
so if you were to add to the outfield, what would you be looking to add on top of that?
Well, I was just saying that we could add an outfielder, with Kevin Biggio and Davis Schneider that can go out there. We don't need to add an outfielder, but we have outfield at bats for a potential external acquisition.
And then quickly at third base as well, Ross. Do you feel like you have your starting third baseman on the roster, or what would those options be?
Yeah, like we feel really good about the team that we have. So between Santiago Espinal, Kevin Biggio, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, we have opportunities to deploy different lineups and different players playing third base potentially.
All right, thank you again, Ross.
All right, no problem, Keith.
Go ahead, Caitlin.
Hi, Ross. I might have missed this off the top. My computer was being kind of glitchy, but just in terms of further additions, do you see it coming, or I guess the impact coming from maybe one high caliber player, or do you think like the remaining impact you're going to bring to the club is divided into the 2 or 3 that you'll additionally add?
Well, I don't think we'll add 3 players. I think most likely that it's closer to 1. But I think most importantly is we feel very good about this team that is in place. Defining the impact of that, we're open to different ways to acquire talent and make the team better, but we have a very good team in place that we are exceptionally excited about.
And just, I know position player is always the focus, and you guys have a pretty full pitching staff, but just in general, are you still kind of exploring additions in that area, or just even adding depth, whether it's starting or relieving?
Yeah, we stay plugged in. and have to be open-minded, but it's less of a focus for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Shai.
Ross, we talked about this earlier in the offseason about sort of pace and how each market uniquely develops, and there being factors in Ohtani specifically this year that changed the market. But it still seems that there's a lot of, I mean, there's clearly a lot of free agents left, so a lot of business that teams have to do left. How would you describe the way this market has played out? And here we are, sort of January 3rd, arbitration deadlines coming up a week away, and there's still being so many players and so many teams still looking to accomplish significant things to their rosters.
Yeah, there's several factors at play there. I think, one of which is on the position player front, there weren't or aren't just a ton of players available, but some of them still are. I think the other factor is I think teams are less willing to trade away talent from their systems and trade away players from their major league roster than they have been, say, 5 to 10 years ago. And then the third factor is really out of our control, and that is the market that's happening and occurring that we have a sense for and a feel for. We certainly have some influence and impact on it, but those three factors end up defining the shape of what's available, what the costs are, and then what decisions end up occurring.
And from a organizational planning perspective, roster considerations, the way the pieces you want to lay into place jumping into spring training, how does the fact that additions are happening this late impact you guys? And is that positive, negative, indifferent?
It's positive for the Blue Jays. I would never choose it to be that way personally, because I would, rather have clarity for players knowing where they're going to be and having a home sooner than later, starting to plan for spring training. That's difficult for players. So I would always prefer that things happen earlier from a player's perspective. But from Toronto's perspective, we have a really good team. We have support from ownership. We have agility. So when you have those things, being patient can be advantageous.
Thanks, Kev.
No problem.
Go ahead, Ian.
Hey, Happy New Year, Russ. Thanks for doing this.
No problem. Happy New Year.
You acknowledged that meeting with Shohei. Can I just confirm, is that the meeting that kept you away from day one of the winter meetings? Is that the date?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think getting into the specifics and details further than saying yes and yes is as far as I'm comfortable going, out of respect for Shohei, out of respect for Nez Balelo, and we moved on, and now today's about Isaiah and KK, and excited to talk about our team that is in place.
Thank you.
All righty.
Take our last one here from Mike.
Thanks, and Happy New Year, Ross.
Mike.
Just wondering, when you talked about outfield at bat being available, not that Kiermaier played every day last year, but he was mostly an everyday player. Does this mean that you're looking at a reduced role for him based off what he did last year?
No, and I'm glad you brought him up. So I'll answer the question first, and I'd like to talk about KK a little bit. So the outfield at bats could just come from rotating guys through DH role, the DH spot, if we didn't acquire a pure DH, as you've seen us do that from time to time in the past. Again, we have good internal options to do so, but open to external acquisitions if there's a way to make this roster better. And on the KK front, I would expect and hope that his role is largely similar, where he is playing very regularly for us, based on obviously health, performance. KK has been remarkable in his career for 2 organizations now. We benefited last year from having him around. It's so difficult for someone to bring that level of energy and positivity on a daily and nightly basis. And KK somehow finds a way to do it. And fans felt it. Our clubhouse feels it. Our entire team feels it. When he's on the field, that lift is powerful for us.
Were you, I don't know if surprised is the right word, had you planned on circling back to him? I mean, it did seem like the way was sort of clear for Varsho to take over in center field going forward.
Well, we had planned on him being a very strong alternative for us, but as a free agent, we can't control that. We want to also do good business, so we plan on him being a strong fit and a strong potential fit, and feel very good about having added him.
Thanks.
No problem, Mike.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you later with IKF and KK. Thanks, Ross.
All right, thanks everyone.